All right. Happy Friday. So I'm Adrian Park, and with me today, our founder, Jay Carter. And so I'm not sure where to start here, but I wanted to play a little game, Jay. All right. Are you
Yeah,
down?
let's do it.
Okay. Okay. So I grabbed this. I apologize in advance. The sound quality is not very good, but I want to see if you remember these if when I play these sounds, and it's coming through my phone. So again, just bear with me because it sounds not great. And tell me if you remember, if you can tell me what device this is. Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here's the first one. I'll put it right up on the mic here. You know what that is?
BlackBerry.
No, good guess. That was the original Nokia, the little
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
remember that?
Okay.
The one yeah. Okay. This one's a little harder. This one's a little harder. Um, but hang on. You probably had one of these being a contractor. It's going through the different chimes.
Mm.
Does that sound familiar?
Um, no,
No.
I don't know which one that one is.
That one's harder. So I
Okay.
had one of those. That's why. So it was a member of the Motorola StarTAC. The original like little flip phone was black and it had the little floppy antenna. That's a
Right.
StarTAC. Okay. Okay. Here's one. This one's a little more familiar. This has a little more unique to this developer or this company.
Oh, I have no idea what that one is.
That was the Palm Treo. All right. So that was the Palm Treo. It was Palm Pilot's first. It was their. I think it was their first phone actually, and that one came out in like 2004 or five. I want to say. So can you give me? Let me share a screen. I want to show all the folks out there something. So we're not just we're not just playing chime games here. I wanted to. It's actually relevant to our conversation today. Can you let me share?
Yep, no problem.
Excuse me. Um, all right. Pages. Okay, sure, we'll do that. Okay, and we're sharing, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I thought we could take a trip into the smartphone cemetery, and so interestingly enough, neither Nokia or Motorola or Palm have a business or meaningful business in smartphones anymore,
Yeah.
or even in phones. So this fun little device on the screen, this first one, I don't. Did we talk about this? I talked about this on my live. I don't know if we talked about it, if I brought it up, but this is
Yeah,
the
no, I don't think
Sony
we've
Mag.
talked about it yet.
Okay, so this is the Sony Magic Link, which is I could probably spend 30 minutes on. I'm not going to, so I'm not going to do that. But it's one of my favorite stories because the Sony Magic Link was the first to do so many things. It was, in fact, do I have it on here? Wait, no, I don't think I do. No, I don't have it. So the Sony Magic Link was the technology. A lot of the technology in this device ended up in our iPhones today, right? So stuff that we have in our crazy like computer iPhones like is from that device, and they had like literally an all-star cast of like the dream employees from around Silicon Valley. They raised like, and this is in the early 90s, they raised like $500 million from Wall Street, made 5,000 of these phones and failed, like perfect failure, right? And like one of the most fantastical failures in tech history. And then, of course, there was the Apple Newton. I never had one of these devices. Maybe you did, but it was like one of the early PDAs, right? Remember the
Hmm.
personal what the personal device. I don't remember. I don't remember what PDA stand for, but it was the original one of the original smart devices. Also a fantastic failure, like huge,
Yeah.
huge, huge failure, right? And then of course there was the Palm Pilot. Like, did you have one of these, Jay?
I didn't have the Palm Pilot, but I had the BlackBerry. Like, you remember
Okay.
that big old thing
Oh yeah, yeah.
with the pen?
We're gonna get. Oh yeah, we're gonna
I
get
had one of
there.
those too. Yeah.
So the Palm Pilot, I had one of these like early 2000s, and I gotta be honest, wasn't my favorite device, but I did use it a lot, and they sold a lot of them. Okay. And then of course, I mean, I had to. It's not a smart device, but I just had like I never had one of these. But remember the original Motorola brick?
hmm
Okay, I
I
mean, we
do.
remember from we were kids, but like, so the Motorola brick. Did you know that cost $11,000 in like 2023 money?
I do. I do. Yep.
11
My
grand.
both my parents had those phones,
Get
and I
out of
remember
here.
like when they first got them, they both had two of them. They got them for Christmas, and like nobody had them. Nobody like we were like we would go
Yeah,
places and they would get like a
people
crowd of
were.
people around them. Yeah, it
I
was
was gonna
insane.
say, I bet you were like
Yeah, and
celebrities with a phone.
and I remember my dad had like a leather pack for this thing, and it was like a friggin' huge
Crazy.
phone,
Yeah, it was
huge.
massive. Yeah.
But he would be like walking around with this thing. Oh man, it was insane, and people would like stop him and like they'd be looking at it. It was yeah, and I was very young at the time, so like to remember back that far about this phone
Right.
was like yeah,
Well, weren't they like 10 or 11 pounds too? I
yeah,
mean,
they
it
were
was like
heavy,
it was like a
like the
substantial
thing you
piece
carried
of
it like a
machinery,
purse,
right? Maybe like carrying a drill around, right?
right? Like when you had it, it was like huge on your head,
Yeah.
right? So
But
and they
like
had
those
terrible
were
reception and calling was
right,
terrible.
terrible
Like
reception, terrible
yeah.
sound. But like that's what you saw. Remember on these, those were on television. Like that was the first cell phone that we saw on TV, even before car phones. So anyway, it had nothing to do with smart devices, but okay. And here's the BlackBerry, right? So BlackBerry, I think it's such an interesting story, and I remember back in like 2011 and 12, I remember seeing like on the news and just paying attention to it because I had a handful of these, and I thought it was such a great device, right? Because it
Mhm.
was. I mean, and what I loved about it is what you loved about it and what everybody loved about it, because it was sturdy, so you could drop it, you could beat the crap out of it and it wouldn't break, right? So it wasn't flimsy, it was like sturdy. And unlike the Magic Link and unlike some of these other devices that were like the Newton, um, the BlackBerry, it had a screen and you could type the friggin', you didn't have to hit like 6 7 times, right? Or three to get the letters. You could just hit the letters just like we were used to on a keyboard. And so BlackBerry, well, let's just look at the numbers. So BlackBerry had 51%. Sorry, in 2004, they had 25% market share. So they had, of all the phones that were sold in the United States, I'm sorry, these are United States numbers. I feel bad. Like I feel bad when I just use US numbers.
Mhm.
In the future, I'll have to get some Canadian numbers for us. In 2006, they had 51%, 51% market
Wow.
share. In 2009, 26%. In 2012, 4%. Palm, okay, Palm, which in 2000 had 50% of the smart device market, by 2010, 10 years later, had less than 1%. Okay, so here's a couple interesting facts. The first BlackBerry device was actually a pager. I didn't know this. Called the BlackBerry. There's actually a picture of it. Released in '99. Could only send emails. But could send emails as a pager, which is pretty cool. I'm just gonna skip the part about the BlackBerry fruit. I mean that it got its name because the founder thought that the little keyboard looked like a fruit, which
Mm.
actually it does if you look at this device here. But here, check this out. They were used by NASA on the International Space Station. Okay. They were used by the military Um, Celebrities used them, which kind of pushed, which kind of made them even more popular. If you remember, President Obama was the first president to use a smart device, and he like it was part like they made a big deal out of it that President Obama was going to bring a BlackBerry into the White House and da 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 da. And part of that though was that BlackBerry had such like great security protocols that they could actually protect the president's information. It couldn't be hacked, right? In fact, JP Morgan, it was like for several years at JP Morgan, and their 244,000 employees only used the BlackBerry. And
Wow.
yet by 2012, they were basically out of business, out of the smart device business, which was where they made all their money. Okay. So I have a question, like, why don't we have now, and these are, by the way, two pictures. This is the palm in the bottom right corner. It's the Palm Treo. Again, I had this phone. It was pretty heavy, but it was, a decent phone, had the touchscreen and all that. And it was kind of like a marriage between like having a QWERTY keyboard and having a touchscreen. So it was a decent phone. And then there over on the left is the BlackBerry Storm, which was their answer to the iPhone. Okay. So the obvious answer to the question is iPhone, but why don't we have a Palm or a BlackBerry smartphone? Because, Jay, we've got Samsung, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've got Android. We've got Pixel. I mean, and we've got China. I can't pronounce it. Huawei. Like they're making a ton of smartphones. So there are competitors to the iPhone around the world, but none of them are Palm or BlackBerry.
Right. Wow.
So I'm going to throw a couple theories out because interestingly enough, this is based on some research and also a little bit of opinion because you never really know, but like the same reason that BlackBerry had 50, I mean, just think about that for a second, 50% of the market. I mean, they were the game in 2006, 7, and 8, right? Yep. Even after the iPhone launched, again, I remember we used at JP Morgan, people had iPhones for their personal phones, and then they had their BlackBerry for work, right?
Right.
Because you could not, because the security protocols, it was years until we could get an iPhone approved for corporate use. And it wasn't just, that was standard, sort of an American business. BlackBerry was the game for years after the iPhones were crushing in sales. So, I think the same reason that BlackBerry crushed because they brought this great device that was tactile. You could feel, the little buttons underneath your fingers, just like you could on a keyboard. And nobody had delivered that up to that point, right? The same thing that got them to dominating the market, dominating, right? I think was the same thing that cost them their smart device business, because they understood better than anybody else in the early mid 2000s, right? 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8. They understood better than anybody else what the, business person, upper income person that can afford one of these devices wanted, right? And they delivered that flawlessly. It was a great product. But then when the market shifted and when what their customers wanted shifted, they were slow to adapt.
Right.
Because there's no reason today, there's no reason that BlackBerry isn't a substantial, like significant competitor, just like Samsung is to iPhone. They had the business, they had the sales, they had the technology, like they had everything they needed to compete, Jay. But we don't have one.
Right.
We don't have a Palm phone.
I mean, it's the same kind of, situation. I think a lot of, small businesses to large businesses is that they lose focus on their client, right? They lose focus because it's tough, right? We often want to think of, and a lot of people come into business thinking, I'm going to set this up and it's just going to operate this way forever. Right.
Right.
And that is unfortunately just not true. And really where a problem, and I know from my own personal experience, is that you've got so much on your plate to manage just the demand that you have at the moment, right? So think about BlackBerry, for example, or any of these guys. Like, think of the demand and all the operational and like the expansion and how quickly they grew and all those kind of things going on. But they forget and they lose focus of that R&D part of their business, right? Where they had to continue to evolve and develop. And I see a lot of contractors in parallel in the same position, is that they're not learning to evolve as the markets change. And again, where technology is really going to create an even larger gap in the next 1 to 2 years, it may be the death to a lot of these guys that were struggling already, but now it's going to be completely, it's going to be near impossible to catch up. All right.
Right.
And I do see that coming, unfortunately, that all the indicators are there. So another big scary indicator is the amount of venture capital coming into the contracting business now, right? Massive, like big companies are starting to take notice of this business, and where they're seeing their opportunity is this technology. So for example, again, AI estimating, like AI, like you don't need to be a specialist at that anymore. All right. It can be near done instantly. What's that going to mean for the rest of contractors, for the mom and pop shops out there, for the guys that, cannot keep up with the speed of which marketing and sales and everything has evolved? It means we're going to see a lot more BlackBerries. And I'm not just talking about the small contractors. I'm talking about the huge contractors that are out there, because they're struggling too. Like that's the thing about the moment we're in right now. I feel like a lot has been, the playing field's very equal if you're looking at the right places, if you're understanding how new technology comes in, because no matter what, if you're big, small, like there is no complete like experts at these things yet, right? There's nobody that's really locked down the game. Everybody's in R&D, like everyone's developing strategies to take advantage of these things. But where we've got to have our eyes wide open is you better pick a direction. You better decide of, where you're going to apply your resources and even a fraction of your time in getting on board with, AI, getting on board with, the evolution in marketing and targeting and understanding again, how these things are going to affect your business, because we're already seeing the implications of it. So we've got two perfect storms on our hands, and now this may be coming quite a rant, but we've got, a downturn in the economy, and then we have AI, we have other technologies that are going to impact our market. Right. And it doesn't matter, from small, big, does not matter. So, for the guys that are out there that have, not a lot of knowledge in marketing and not a lot of knowledge in, customer service, sales funnels, the things that we've been discussing, that window of time where you have enough space and room to breathe to learn it and adapt to it and bring it into your business is quickly closing. Right. And I feel it in my own, like, I feel like I'm catching up, and I, at the same time, we're right at the forefront of it, because there's other, like in other, other markets, I'm looking at how quickly they've advanced. Now the contracting, I mean, luckily we're behind with everything, so we have a little bit longer of a window. And where I really like to discuss this is kind of playing into what we're talking about today, and that's Facebook ads and understanding what the parallel is between Facebook ads and other forms of media buying and marketing, and why, again, a couple of really easy to understand tips today on what we need to really be focused on, right, in order to bring results.
Yeah. So can you just let me share? I'm going to share my screen real quick again, Jay.
Yeah.
Is that all right? Because I want to show you something. This is, so for all of you out there, this is unplanned. The other part was planned. This is not planned. Let's see, which one is it? Is it this? I think it is. Hopefully this will play. So this is an ad that is a contractor. Oh, Jesus, that's loud. So this is the only contractor that comes up in my feed, on my Facebook feed. All right. It's a pretty decent ad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's about a product I didn't even know existed. All
Yeah.
right. And I'm like, wow, this is a great product. You know,
Mm.
it's metal with it's
Yeah, it's
coated
stone
like a
coated.
shingle. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Been
Right.
around a long time.
Okay. Yeah. But I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Right. So again, which is, and these guys are in my feed all the time. And I didn't know that this product is this. It's like Erie Metal Roofs or US Metal Roofs. And they, you know, is it fancy? No. But you know what? Like, I'll tell you honestly, if I was, I would call those guys, right? Because Jay, there's nobody
Right.
else in my feet. That is the only contractor, the
Right.
only roofer. And to me, and I mean, again, I mean, I don't know roofing, obviously, like you. I know mason restoration. I mean, I was pretty good
Hmm.
at that for 7 years and grew a business, you know, quintupled or whatever. But like, I didn't know that. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know.
Right. Well, and again,
And
it's
they're the only game. They're
right.
it.
Right.
They're
And you
it.
can find like there is absolutely 100% ways of doing that. Now let's take that out apart for a second. What's it doing first? What's it doing? Is it
Oh
coming out
boy.
and saying, "Hey, buy my metal roof"? Or is
Oh
it
no.
it's
No, it's
educating?
showing you. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're becoming, and this is what I'm talking about, the evolution of marketing is that contractors need to understand something. If you're not providing value to the market, and we are now, into the social media platforms, and that's your stage. That's where you get to go and show your value and provide your input to the community and be on, other people's media and be present. All right. Now you don't have to, if you're not comfortable behind a camera, that's fine. You can find someone to do that for you. But
Right.
if you're
Right.
not investing your time or energy into those resources, what it does is it puts you into a category where you look like everybody else, because it's easy to throw up an ad and say, "Hey, buy my stuff." Okay.
Yeah.
But what happens is the consumer is comparing you to 1,000 other people. If you typed in,
Right.
metal roofing, you're going to see everything in under the sun come up. How does a
Right.
homeowner make a decision? Well, I'll
Right.
tell you, because they put that search in. All right. Now they're going to get pixeled. All right. And this is what we're talking
Can you
about in
explain
Facebook.
what that? I think you got to
Absolutely.
explain what
So
that means.
when and there is, we have some regulations to this, but when you click on, let's say you go to Google and you type in metal roofing, okay? Google
Right.
has an algorithm that basically puts a pixel on where you, like, if it came from your device or whatever. And now you'll notice that through other medias, all of a sudden, ads that are similar pop up because they're trying to sell ads,
So they
right?
put a
So
little asterisk by your user ID and saying this
similar, right?
person's
Yes.
looking for.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like you've identified yourself by the behavior you've taken. So the algorithms are really, really smart. And now we have this multi-channel algorithm that can, information about your buying habits can be exchanged across the platforms.
Wow.
And this is where Facebook comes into play, is because Facebook is a community driven platform. Okay.
Okay.
So if we want to think about Facebook as being the local community, which in a lot of cases it is. How
Right.
are you showing up? Are you in the shadows? Nobody talks to you, or are you up at the front where you're
Right.
offering helpful advice to the town mayor? Like,
Right.
these are the kind of things you want to think about. And then people often tell me like, "Hey, I've been posting and blah blah, I'm not getting any benefit. Like, I'm going to quit that." And I'm like, that's equivalent to like suicide, because what the algorithm also really appreciates is content. All right. It's also a content driven platform
Right.
where when you produce content that offers value, that has people click on it, and videos especially. So today we're going to talk, this is the advanced part, which a lot of guys don't understand. Let's say you post a really good video. Okay. Just nothing more than you giving some tips, suggesting things. It doesn't even, it shouldn't even be salesy. All right. It can be just in general. All right.
Yeah.
What happens is everyone that clicks on that organically, all right, so it comes up in feeds. Like, let's say you go to a community Facebook group, okay, and you post in there a video or a response to somebody's question, right? Somebody has a roofing question or an electrical question, or even
Yeah.
better yet, offer that up in advance. Be like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to offer tips and tricks for homeowners to, make sure their electrical safety or their system is safe, right? And you're just going to be the person responding in that community. You will build so much trust and rapport with the people that matter in the community, because who else is going to a community web like Facebook group? Who else is active in there? I'll tell you
Right.
who. And they're going to be your promoters. Okay. You get
Yeah.
through, and
Right.
I call them the big bosses. They're the ones that are the hardest to work with, the hardest to deal with, but you get through them. They've done the same thing on their street, in their community, and they're going to praise you.
Right.
And now
Right.
you've got this free traffic flowing through and back to your Facebook group. And I've seen, again, I've seen huge accounts grow just by doing that. So think about it this way. Forget the sales for a second. Okay. Like, I mean, that's the outcome you want, but that will come when you do this one thing. Okay. If you focus on a problem that somebody's looking to solve versus selling them something, all right. So go to those community groups and just go through, just search, whatever your trade is,
Yeah.
find something and start commenting on it. Start offering advice with no intent of selling anybody anything. And watch how quickly you become the trusted resource. Now, if we
Yeah.
think about ads being added to that, here's how you play it. All right. Here's the inside trick on this. Let's say you produce a video and you can post it to your community group that offers really great value. Okay. So it's going to give some advice. It doesn't have a CTA in it. Every single person that clicks on that video, now you can target them with your ads.
Yeah.
So then you run an ad because
Right.
they're looking for roofing, and all of a sudden you're being picked up in that feed. So you've retargeted that group, and you can continue to send ads to them. And again, how likely are they to convert? Well, do
So
they fit? Like, go where your customers are.
yeah.
All right. So think about these as, and I think I've used this reference before, but you remember the green bins, like the green electrical,
Oh
like
yeah.
bins when you were a kid,
Sure.
and like
Oh
all the
yeah.
kids in the neighborhood would hang out around the green electrical bin,
Right.
right? And like,
Right.
like the whole, like everyone would be there, right? You
Yeah.
got to think about Facebook as being the same thing. All right. There's all these little hangouts where your ideal, prospects are hanging out. And in order to get in there, right? Like, you couldn't just stand on the sidelines and stare at them, could you? That would make you look
Right.
pretty weird, right? Like, you couldn't.
Right.
I mean, some kids did, and they were the weird kids, but like, no, you have to engage. You have to come and again, kind of show your character, show who you are, all right, and make yourself human. And when you do that, you're going to see a whole community and a whole group of people. And believe me, lots of people in these community groups are lurkers. They're just there. They're watching. They're seeing things.
Right.
So
Right.
then you're seen there as being a trusted source. Now, when it comes time to actually convert, now you're differentiated. Now you're being seen differently, right? And this is where the power of this comes from, and taking your content and not just posting it on your page, but get it into other pages, get it into Facebook groups, and again, we're talking about one specific strategy, and I want to give you the easiest one that you can do today.
Well,
You shoot short video, even if you're responding to somebody that asked a question,
yeah.
respond
That's
with the
good. Yeah.
video. Okay.
Yeah.
From your company page, just shoot a quick video and say, hey, you know what? I seen this question here. I just wanted to answer it for you. All right. That's going to give a huge amount of value, and it's going to prove that you
Yeah.
are trustworthy because you're offering that without asking for things.
Well, I was going to say too, Jay, I feel like, one of my favorite things was dropping a yard sign when we were
Mhm.
doing a job.
Absolutely.
And like, I was always so, and this is going to, I mean, it's going to sound stupid, but I'm going to say it anyway. I was always so surprised at how many calls we would get. I
Mhm.
mean, we got so many calls just from the yard sign or a lift or a trailer, like just being there and being, and having clean trucks and like all that stuff, just being there and people seeing the men work and seeing us do our thing. Like, we got oodles and oodles. And I used to think, man, I wish I could follow these people around, you know, like I wish I could, if we could stay there longer, we'd get more calls.
Mhm.
And sometimes we'd leave a yard sign and we would get more calls. But like, imagine if imagine if like on their, say 3 mile or 5 mile drive to work, every half a mile, they saw another one of our yard signs. Right.
Right.
And Like if I could have replicate that, and of course people did that with billboards and stuff traditionally, but that also gets very expensive. Like this is kind of that online, what you're
Right.
talking about. It's like if you could put your company sign every quarter of a mile, half a mile,
Hmm.
this is that. You can do the same thing, but instead of it being they're looking out their windshield out of the truck or out of their car, they're on their phone when they're,
Hmm.
in their living room watching the football game, and they're like, "Oh, that's," and they see that they see the company again and again and again, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know that about roofs. I didn't know that about brick. I didn't,
Right.
and next thing you know, they've got a problem and
Right.
right?
You know, the trick to it is actually, again, when you're creating content, think of all your major objections. Think about all the things that
Right.
homeowners are
Right. The
concerned about,
problems. Yeah,
right? Will
yeah.
I get a quality roof? What's a quality roof look like? How do you select a contractor? How do you like, or you can also do this. There's lots of apps that you can grab where it will pull the questions that people are asking. All right. So if you type in your trade,
Oh,
you can
that's good.
find out what
Yeah.
all those questions are that are being Googled. And
As a
literally, this is how we
contractor.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for contractor, I do this all the time, and I find out in my local area, okay, what questions are being asked. Now, imagine if BlackBerry had that technology at the time, right? And they could just ask the internet, what is everybody
Yeah.
searching? What is everybody
Yeah.
concerned about when they're
Well,
like, and again, you know, you would be blown away because a lot of times as contractors, we can't see the forest for the trees. We get
right.
way overcomplicated, start explaining things to our customers that they don't care about. They don't even understand. They don't get any of it.
Right.
What
Right.
matters to them, okay, and again, I'll give you a good example. In my market, it happens to be like, can are metal roofs loud?
Hmm.
Can they take on lightning strikes? Like these are
Yeah.
the common
Interesting.
questions. Like, you know, what's the price difference between a metal roof and an asphalt roof? How much longer
Yeah.
do they last? Like what type of metal roof? Like, so if you start to go and take those questions and then go to the Facebook groups, all right, the community groups, and just answer that question,
Yeah.
right? Like, hey, you know, somebody had asked me this question. I just wanted to come on here and quickly explain, you know, what the difference is between, you know, a metal roof and a shingle roof, right? Just
Right.
explain it, right? Or in your own feeds, you do the same thing. Okay. You explain that. Now, if you want to get really clever with this, when a customer asks you that question, you send them to your social media with
Hmm.
a link, okay,
Yeah.
so that they join your Facebook page, right? And you engage them there, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's called tagging. So you would tag your customer even on that commonly answered question, because now you're creating a community inside of your own Facebook group or Facebook page, right? So these are
So
things that you can do for free.
yeah, and
Now,
that doesn't cost anything.
it doesn't cost anything. It's
Yeah.
just, again, it's just providing value. It's thinking about the problem and not your problem. Your problem is you want more sales, but that's
Right.
not your customer's problem. They don't need more
No.
sales.
Right.
All right. And they don't want to buy from, nobody wants to be sold. Right. So
Right.
let's rethink about how we offer value. And then when it comes time for Facebook ads, if you're not present and you're not willing to offer that value, your cost per acquired customer is astronomical. Like Facebook is not the place for that conversion. I found
Yeah.
in my experience, like you can convert some leads. They're generally lower quality. Okay.
Right.
Now, total difference to what I'm suggesting here is way I use Facebook ads is I retarget. So somebody that's searched in Google that's, you know,
Right.
looking for something, somebody that's clicked on one of my videos, like we've got some videos that have got 36, 40,000 views. All right. And here's another little hint. If you're recruiting or hiring, put a recruitment and hiring video into, you know, your local community page and let them click on it. All right. Because
Yeah.
now you're retargeting the actual people that may work for you. Right.
Yeah.
So we run these retargeting campaigns and they're all based on us generating organic traffic and giving value and running these value feeds, and it helps you to know what is it that I should be offering. Because here's again, when we go back to BlackBerry days, do you know how they did their research? Like basically they would send out a survey, all right,
Yeah.
hope that
Right.
somebody brought back the survey,
Right.
and they would pay huge companies like these
Big
huge
money. Yep.
consultants to give
Yep.
them back data about their customers, and it would take 6 to 8 months to
Yep.
do those studies. But
Yep.
by then the market has shifted.
Right.
Now we have more
Excuse me.
opportunity than ever. Like you can run a Facebook campaign just with the hooks to your ads or your emails, right?
Right.
Just a pure traffic campaign where people are going to tell you if they like it or they don't like it.
And the hook being the line that's going to get somebody to
Correct.
stay on. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I'm running them, constantly. I'm running them one right now as we speak for, another offer that I have. And I use the algorithm to tell me what my audience wants to hear. It's not about
Right.
what I want. No one
Right.
cares what I want. They care about what they want. And if you're not listening to that audience and you're not using these platforms as your ears, okay, you're missing out on a huge opportunity. And it's, again, if you don't want to run Facebook ads, I don't blame you. They're difficult, and I don't suggest it for anybody because it takes some time to learn. But what I
Right.
do suggest is make sure whoever's running your ads is understanding the connection between your content and that you are working together as a team and that there's open dialogue on how retargeting will take place, and you're producing some sort of content that's going to give value to whoever's on these organic platforms, because that's what brings down your cost per acquired customer through the Facebook and through other algorithms, right? Again, if you want your Google ads to work well, have a presence in your Facebook. Like, again, that's the multi-channel connection that you have across the board. If you're not active in these social media things organically, you're not producing value there, your cost is so much higher across all of the other, medias if you're going to play the game, right?
Well, and I think too, Jay, I mean, the the thing that the thing that we I don't think we think about, or I know that, and I'll speak for myself. My reluctance to do this was, I don't know, are we really going to get calls? Is it going to work? How much is it going to cost, et cetera? I was always concerned about the cost, because until I met you, I didn't know anybody that could actually do this, like that with any contractors that were doing it. Because there aren't that none that I rub shoulders
Right.
with are doing Facebook ads.
R-
So, so I was just going to say that, like, the thing that, I mean, the reality of it is that, it would cost, I mean, to run traditional ads like on television or radio or
mhm.
whatever, it's really expensive, or in print even. And yet, like if you think about the logic of being able to, like, to be on someone's, the thing that we use the most, right? Because I mean, I think the stats are, for Facebook users, the average person's on there like 30 minutes a day.
Yep.
I mean, they could literally see at least one, if not two of your ads in that 30
Mhm.
minutes. Right.
Right.
And
And it takes,
I'm not like embellishing.
yeah.
That's a legit number. And so, like, what else can we do to be in front of someone's face, like on their, like, it's in their, like, have their attention? What else can we do as contractors? Like cold call, average radio advertising, who listens to the radio, advertise on TV, advertise in a magazine, which people are still doing, by the way. And by the way, you can still get customers. It's not
Mhm.
bad, but, like,
Right.
that's not where attention is. Attention is here,
Right.
right?
So let's talk about this for a second though. So again, I'm giving you guys a very big hint here, right? If you want to beat the venture capital companies coming in, the big dogs that are going to be, coming into these markets, how are you going to beat them? Think about it. We're going to have to play guerrilla warfare, because one thing that you have that they don't have and that people appreciate is community presence, right? You are local, and
Yeah.
people still, like, statistically want to buy locally, and we'll see this continue to grow. They don't want to necessarily buy from the big companies. They feel like there's a drop in
Right.
service, and you got to
Right.
ask yourself,
There is.
okay,
Yeah.
how did the big box stores beat out all of the smaller operations, right? What happened? What was it that
Yeah.
they could do that the other stores couldn't, right? We're going to see something very similar, I think, occur in the construction. It's been coming for a long time,
Yeah.
but there is solutions for it. There are tactics that you can start doing today, and I encourage everyone to do it, right? Start by being a good community member, right? Think about solving a problem only. Take the simplest things, the simplest questions you get asked in your business, Okay. And I know we're all busy, but these take no time to do. All right. Get your kids, your whoever that's going to put on a shirt from your company and just start answering those questions. Just put that
Right.
content out there. Whether you're running ads, whether you're doing anything, that's your one action step that anybody and everybody has no excuse for not doing. Okay.
Right.
And the results of it, think about it as paying forward. Okay. Because yes, you know what? You're not going to get high volumes of things. You're not going to get immediate, people reaching out to you. You might. And believe me, I have guys that run their entire business, multi-million dollars worth of revenue, all from community pages. All right. And I'm always amazed.
Not
They
surprised.
spend their time doing that and it's
Yeah.
free for them. Right. But there's a
Right.
cost, like, producing content and stuff like that is, if that's your bag. All right. But just think of the difference. Just think of the difference it would make for anybody that sees you in that community page, feels you're a part of the community. All right. You're offering value, and it's nothing more than, being on your phone and just responding to comments and being present. Okay.
Yeah.
Think about the advantages you would get when you are now bidding for jobs in the local area. Like, think of the networking opportunity you have, right? Compared to the company that comes in and has done nothing and contributed nothing to the community, and communities are still alive. I
Right.
see it more and more than ever. Okay, that people are dying to connect. They're dying to have conversations. You just, like,
Right.
again, go and test this theory
Right.
yourself. Just jump on there and have a chat. You see them go for miles. People
Yeah.
chiming in and sharing their opinions and views and
Yeah.
stuff like that. How could you not want to be present there, right? If you have a
In the
brand or if you have a
conversation.
business to offer, go be present. And again, just start with being a good Samaritan, being a good person. Like, don't think about the sale, think about the value you can offer. Okay.
Right.
Because then at that point, you're never going to be soliciting, you're not going to be selling. And that's not really the place to do it unless, again, the platform allows it. But you want to just be that good value. And people will then search you. What are they going to do? They're going to click on your profile, find out what
Right.
company you own. Boom.
Right.
They've just asked for a lead, right? So
Right.
again, if you got a low budget, no problem. But this is long-term effectiveness, because people don't forget. Like, people, once they recognize your brand, once they recognize who you are, and it takes a couple of times, like, on
Right.
average, it's 9 times, but you're coming at them and you're building trust and value first before you're asking for business, or before you're asking, or in best case, you're attracting them to you, right? So again, kind of getting back to this, think about the advantages you have when you have produced this content, shared with the community, and now you get to pull that equity back when you run ads, because now you can take the retargeting of that video that you shot off of your Facebook page. All right. And let's say it's been sitting there for a year and people just keep hitting on it, right? They have a roofing issue here, boom.
Right.
They go to this thing and you're tagging them, right? Like, think about how many people would see that over the course of a year. So, I mean, my community group's got 300,000 people in it, right? Do you think out of 300,000 people, somebody's had a roofing issue? And again, the videos, it's not pitching anything. It's solving,
Right.
it's answering a question that was asked,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So now when I retarget that, I get to retarget all those people, right? And automatically they're going to start seeing my ads. So, like,
Right.
it's, again, it's tit for tat, right?
I think again, I think that I want to help people see this as an online yard sign, like that's like, or like or if you could hold, if you could throw like a lunch or like a teach in for like
Yep.
30 or 40 of your best customers and show them the things they should look for on their home or on their building or whatever. And this is that. It's just on Facebook or on social media. And I think, to your point, that the quicker we get more comfortable with this, for those that do, you're talking about the big like money coming into contracting. I mean, if I go back, 8 months or a year, I just wanted to beat the guy. I just wanted to beat the other,
Right.
Northwest and these other guys that I was competing with. I just wanted to beat them. And if I and I saw it as edge, like I could get an edge on these guys because none of them are advertising on Facebook or at all. Like other than
Right.
like doing, they had YouTube channels, but they were just like it was just like highlight reels of how great we are and all these crazy drone shots. And I mean,
Right.
there's
And
some
people
value
have
to
seen
that,
that.
but
Like that's played
yeah, but
out, right?
it doesn't get people's attention. By the way, Jay, that ad that I showed you, I didn't
Mhm.
have that queued up. I went to my Facebook page, I opened it up, and I started
'Cause
scrolling, and it was there. Like when I brought it up to you is when I opened up and it took me literally 15 to 30 seconds, and that ad came up. That ad was for me. It was in my feed.
right. Well, and
Like,
you've just proven how retargeting works, right? So
yeah,
like we're
that was
talking
a
about that.
retargeting
We
ad.
showed that
Right.
company's ad in front of
Right.
a whole audience, all right?
Right.
And they did nothing more than to just explain their product, explain their
Yeah.
process,
Right.
explain their like that's the craziness of it. Is guys get so stuck on expensive lead generating. Like for me, I'm gonna put it out like there like this. Like most of the guys I talk to in this group, anyways, have been word of mouth, word of mouth. Okay,
Sure.
but they're complaining this year. All of a sudden, word of mouth isn't really getting them that far, right?
Right.
When the
Right.
economy goes down, all of a sudden there's less customers, less things, and now, oh shit, you know what? I have to do something differently.
Right.
Now, if we take that same principle of word of mouth, you can still survive word of mouth, but you have to step your game up. You have to
Right.
evolve. You have to
Right.
not get caught like BlackBerry did, standing in place, getting rolled over. All
Right.
right. You have to take that now to the digital form. You have to go to where people are, offer some value. Don't be the weird kid on the sideline. Get
Right.
involved. Get in. And again, guys, this doesn't involve any funnels, no like technology, no tactics. This is your cell phone. Okay.
Right.
When people make a comment, you respond back. Like just
Right.
be a good Samaritan, and business will
Yeah.
start to flood into you. All right, because people are looking for those kind of connections. They want to have an expert, a community expert, somebody they can
Right.
trust when they have a question. And again, remember this: like even if you're not having a lot of conversations, all right, you've only spoken to a couple of people. What happens and what you don't realize is that comment is forever there, right? People go to those pages and they search for like electrical issues and stuff like that, and it's if there's one person speaking up or one person saying something, there's 50 others that are looking for that answer,
Right.
right? So you're not just speaking to one, you're selling to many. And I'll say it like that. And really the again, kind of back to my point here is solving one problem for one person openly in a community is actually doing it for 50. Okay.
Right.
And 50 people are now loyal and appreciative of you and your brand and you personally. All right. That now next time or whenever somebody else asks, what do you think they're going to tell them? Right. And you get this whole multiplying effect. And again, like I said, those are the places you want to be. If you've seen a slowdown in your business, and or even if you're a full-size contractor and you're looking to improve the cost of your acquired customer, get involved, be
Yeah.
present, do the small things, do the things without asking for things. Like think
Right.
about it as not like again, you've got to take a different approach, because if you're just going in there and trying to solicit business, no one appreciates that. No, like that's annoying.
Right.
And
Right.
more society is
Well, and
turning a
that's what
deaf ear
everybody's
to it.
doing. Yeah,
Right.
everyone. I mean, everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's like, "Hey, I'm following up on my quote. Did you have a chance to look at my
Right.
quote? I want to talk to you about my quote. I want to answer your questions on my quote." Well, what if you just what if you just added value? Said, "Look, this is what happens when when your caulking is powdery. That
Right.
means you're losing it, and you're going to get water at some point,
Exactly.
right?"
And again, meet people at their like the way they want to be met, right? So again,
Right.
when we talk about this, like you want to know one thing that will differentiate you in getting jobs or not, shoot a video. Shoot a
Yeah.
video and send that to your client. Okay.
Right.
Do you want to stand out? Just take your quote and go
Yeah.
through it and
It's
explain it
good.
to them and then
Right.
send them the
Yeah.
quote.
Explain it
Okay.
videos.
That
Yeah.
one move increases your sale 20%. Guaranteed,
Yeah.
right? Don't follow up with the boring emails. No one reads them, right? Leave
Right.
those things alone. Okay.
It's the new junk mail.
Instead,
Yeah.
instead, engage with them, right? Engagement is totally different. Like, hey, you know, I was working for your neighbor in this area. Here's some pictures of her home. It might help you to make a better choice on yours. Oh, great. Now that starts a real conversation.
Right.
Oh, hey, I was thinking of you. Here's this resource, in case you were still, looking for our service, or if however you want to frame it. But again, it's value first. And again, it takes more to build trust. We are in the post-trust era. Okay. And I don't want
What do
anyone
you
in here
mean
to
by
forget
that?
that.
What do you mean
The
by that?
post-trust era. So it's been happening for a long time, but nobody trusts anybody. They don't trust government. They don't
Right.
trust, everyone is questioning, and everyone's so cynical right now. All right. And,
Right.
and it's been getting worse and worse. And it's been harder and harder to make sales because nobody's trying to earn trust. They're doing things. And again, we are so used to the internet and everything that's just sped up the amount of advertising and marketing, and it's exhausting, right? We're all in busy lives. Money's tight.
Yeah.
Like, here comes the next guy and the next guy that is doing the same shit that's been done forever. That whole strategy doesn't work anymore.
Right.
People shut down and they close in. That's why you're not getting people to respond and you're getting ghosted. Like, this is what's happening. And it's because of your approach. You're going in like it's 1955, demonstrating your product and your thing like someone gives a shit, right? And you're
Right.
not really thinking about what is it that owner feels and what's making them, have this pain, right? How do I solve that pain? How do I solve that problem for them? Because guess what? If you do that and you think that way first, and this applies to your advertising and your marketing, it will change
Right.
everything. All of your outcomes will become a
Right.
lot better. But if you go
Right.
in trying to pitch them and sell them something, we have so much resistance built up to that, right?
Right.
I shut down. I'm in sales, and I know when
Right.
someone's trying to sell me, right?
Right. Oh yeah.
People, again, an educated buyer knows when they're being sold, and they question everyone. It's no more trust. You have to earn the trust first. How do you
Right.
do that? How do you do that in the time that you have? Well, the key to this is offer that trust and value before they engage with you. And this is what I'm
Yeah.
talking about in making your investment in your funnel, in the time. Like, get people when they're doing the research of it. Get people, like, offer value at each side, like, without asking them or soliciting them, like, just a friendly, hey, you asked about this, here you go. Like, those kind of things go a long way in building your community trust. And once you have that, then you become the go-to, right? And we see it more and more and more. Like, we're seeing it, across all the platforms. Like, the guys that really kind of got onto this concept, right? And genuinely care, because you can't, again, if you go in with the wrong approach, it will come across as salesy, and
Right.
it'll be like everybody else's content. Like, again, like, I have to stress this, bring it down to the level of, you are a member of the community, right? You're offering some advice to a friend or, a neighbor, whoever, and you're doing it like for the right reasons. If you can do that, I mean, you will see all of your sales start to improve, and it's just a better way of thinking of things. Don't jam quotes down people's throats. Don't,
Right.
no, because they're just going to compare you to everyone else that's doing the exact same thing. And when the
Right.
market slows down, what do? It increases like dramatically. Like, again, people that weren't following up before, now all of a sudden there's follow-ups. Like,
Right.
I mean, I can't touch anything on the internet. I get like 65 phone calls. I don't even answer my phone
Right.
anymore. Right? It's like, damn, I don't even know. Like, so nobody wants that. Nobody appreciates it. And again, we have to find a better way to combat that.
So I think that, what I was, one of the things that I would hope, I can speak. One of the things I was hoping and hope to uh, help with here is to make some of these things that, again, I was afraid of,
Mhm.
to help people see that it's, this is, or there's advantage here, and it's not crazy expensive. And it's, again, it's just, it's a different, it's instead of the yard sign, and instead of going and knocking, because I went around I knocked on neighbors' doors when we were doing jobs in neighborhoods, and I would introduce myself. I didn't do it a lot, but I did some like cold door knocking. That's actually how I started my career, which is a whole nother thing.
Mhm.
But like, and by the way, not very effective. Like
Really?
most people are like, I mean, unless you do, I mean, you got to do volume for it to be effective. I would
Yeah.
knock on a few doors. I mean, I was very, yeah. So my point is that, like, it's so much easier, right? You don't have
Mhm.
to go and like canvas a neighborhood that you're working in. You can do that with your ad,
Yep.
and it's easier. It
Digital door
takes a
knocking.
lot far. Yeah, digital door. Takes a lot less of your time, and so again, it's a different. So you're canvassing. You're just not doing it the hard way anymore. Whether it's,
Right.
because, by the way, what I did do is I mean, what I had to do I cold called my ass off for like almost the first 3 years I was in that business. I cold, and that's hard,
Hmm.
because you kiss a lot of frogs.
Yep.
And I don't know about you, Jay, but I don't really like doing that. I mean, I
Right.
did it because it was necessary, but I did not like it. It wasn't
Right.
fun. I wasn't getting up every day, being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna cold call like 60 general contractors today. Fucking sucks. So,
Tell me
you
about it.
know, we don't, yeah. So you don't have to do that. I mean, what I'm trying to say is like, there's an easier way. And, you don't have to be good on camera. You don't have to even be on camera, right?
Right.
You can get someone to shoot this stuff for you,
Yep.
or you can just, or have one of your team. I mean, there's literally a dozen different ways to do it, but like, that is such an easier, cheaper solution to what the hard way, which is what we've both done, going door to door and cold calling people.
Yep.
Like,
That's the
and
old
it's
sales
also
way. It's
cheaper
just
than let's say it's cheaper than direct mail too.
right. Well, and again, it like you gotta pick your battles, right? Like whatever you're gonna do, you have to commit to it, right? So I mean, if online and ads are your thing, and again, after the years of doing all of these things, I've settled on 3 or 4 marketing strategies that I use, and
Yeah.
I've built them up, and I continue to focus on them, because if you try to focus on everything, if you try to grab things from, oh, I'm going to put up a sign, you're going to find that it's too fragmented. You're not landing the people that you need to land, and you're not getting the volume. Like one of these strategies, like that community one, I'm not exaggerating this to you. I work with a client right now. He generated last year, just himself, he's a plumber, okay,
Hmm.
$1.8 million in revenue from a community
Wow.
page, one
Just off
community
of,
page.
wow.
And that was
Yeah.
just weekly doing posts and just,
Yeah.
offering value to the community, not asking for anything. Like, eventually he did some soft CTAs, but he can't keep up. And then everyone else is dying. And I'm going, well, guys, like if he can do that, right? And he's put his time into it, he's focused on one media, one source. Okay, he got himself into a position, he got good at it. Now he can start thinking about other sources to add or complement to that. But that's where media comes in. What I don't want to see contractors do is run out, hire a marketing company, all right, or
Yeah.
an agency, do
Yeah.
blind billing where they just take
Right.
their money and don't tell them what they're doing, and then be
Right.
not involved with the marketing. Again, like I
Right.
said, there is a connection between the cost you're going to pay and how many like leads you land and your presence online. So if you haven't
Right.
built that yet, plan to have your leads cost you $200-300. Like that's the way
Right.
it's going to be, right? If you have, and you have invested there, and it doesn't take much, right? It's just committing to 1 video a week, 2 videos a week, like posting some stuff regularly. If you're struggling with this, give us some time. We'll help and give you some ideas. You can book in with us. We'll give you a game plan. And I suggest everybody, big, small, it doesn't matter. If you don't have a marketing plan and somebody to help you work through that and identify these things, it's going to be a rough ride. Okay. And I learned this many years ago, unfortunately the hard way, is that you can get your marketing dollars so spread out that you've got an ineffective high cost per acquired customer, and it literally starts to drain. And that's why I think a lot of guys quit. They quit early. You know what I mean? They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I tried Facebook, it didn't work for me. Oh, I tried Google, it didn't work for me.
Right.
Yeah, because you went in with the wrong expectations to begin with. Nobody was guiding you on the plan. Nobody was helping you to see the numbers properly. And this is where a marketing plan comes into play. Like, how much am I supposed to spend? How much am I supposed to receive back? Like, all of these things are very important. And you're trying to figure it out on your own. There is a massive amount of knowledge out there and information, and most of it's conflicting. So
Right.
don't play that
It's
game.
true.
Find somebody
Right.
that's, again, myself,
Well,
other people on our team that have the right reasons to help you with that marketing plan.
yeah, I was gonna say that, and just maybe, just to maybe final thought here. So, we, it's a, again, and I consider myself at least average intelligence, and this, to even for me, and even for what we do together, Jay. I mean, it is, even for me, like the whole Facebook ads thing is
Hmm.
it feels like
The
a very
maze.
deep well. It's
Yes.
like I'm in a deep well and I'm looking up and I'm like, oh, how do I get out of here? Like, and so I don't want to, and I want to just be really transparent, honest about that. Like, so I mean,
Hmm.
when, Jay and I talk about this stuff, and obviously I have input and I have a strong feeling about doing, like, being there. And I think it's such a great opportunity for contractors, for us to be on there. And I think we can dominate for those of us that are, certainly you guys are, you and Jay Carter, your company, uh, at the same time, like, I want people to, see, like, it's not that hard, if you've got someone that does it or has done it and knows how to do it and isn't trying to rip your face off. Because, and I'm not trying to pick on marketing agencies, but, like, they have their outcome is to, get a certain budget. And, obviously I think most want to get a result for their customers, but, it's also a little bit of a crapshoot.
Mhm.
And, you've been doing, I mean, how long have you been running ads for your company? Well,
Oh,
just for Jay Carter
geez.
Roofing,
I'm gonna say 5 years,
right? Okay.
right? So
So,
Google Ads even longer. So like since I'm gonna say 2012, we've been running Google Ads.
so you've been running
Easily.
online ads for a little over
Yeah,
10 years,
yeah,
Facebook
for
ads
sure.
for the last 5. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, Facebook ads weren't even, I mean,
No, they've really, again, the dawn
it's
of them
still a
have,
newer thing,
right.
like,
And it was back in the day, it was a lot easier on Facebook ads, like before they changed everything with the iPhone stuff and everything. Like you could generate a lot of cheap ads or leads very quickly. That's changed now. Like now the targeting isn't the same, and you really have to have a good strategy before you go into these platforms. Like I don't recommend
right.
anyone
I was just
that's
going to
not an
say,
expert at it.
yeah,
don't
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 do
try
it
and
if you
do it.
don't know.
Yes,
Yeah.
you
Right.
will just blow, like you will
You'll
just,
spend money.
yeah, you'll burn through money so
Which,
quickly.
by the
Like
way,
get somebody.
I did
Yeah.
that, by the way.
Me too.
I, I
Me
did
too.
it. I was terrible at it. And I was the guy, and just by the full and total transparency, I was the guy that I ran like a handful of ads or boosted. Like made these terrible ads,
Yeah.
and then I ran them on, from the company Facebook page, and got nothing,
Right.
like
Just crickets.
less than nothing.
Right.
So I was that guy. I've done that. And so I guess I want to say, like, for, I mean, in the Facebook ads world, you're like a OG, because people, I mean, I'm not,
Not even,
you're not, you're
I'll be honest with you. Like I don't buy my own Facebook ads for my business. Just so you know, like
okay.
I'm involved with it, and I can see all the platforms. Like so I hire a specific media buyer because in order to keep up with everything and all the changes and everything else, like I don't have the time to assign to that. Like that is a daily, part of the equation. And on top of that, I haven't invested, I know it very, very well. And I can run ads and set up campaigns for, like for Contractor AI and all those kind of things. But after it's
Right.
up and running, I don't want to maintain them. I don't want
Right.
to like that is a that's a task that the best media buyers I know are like my accountant. Okay. Because it's just like a redundant, like over and over, like adjustments here and there. Like it's not a pretty job. It's not a fun job. Right.
Right.
So I delegate that out once I've got it up and I've aligned it with my campaigns, and I oversee, how our media is being bought, and, obviously accountability for the results. But again, I don't run those ads. Forget that. That's the job you can easily delegate out, and you're going to get a better result than what you can do, right? Because it evolves, like things change on a weekly basis. And unless you're willing to learn and you're in that environment nonstop, I mean, it can take a lot of your attention, a lot of your time and energy and everything else. I always work with a good media buyer that knows specifically that niche. Okay. So, like,
Yeah.
again, somebody offering you Facebook ads that hasn't worked for a contractor before, that's a big red flag because there's a huge
Right.
learning curve there. There's a
Right.
huge, and things evolve quickly. You need to
Right.
find someone that has a proven track record with this type of work. I mean, again, when I look for my media, but I want to know he ran it for, like, I want to know how much he bought for a roofer specifically. Like, if it's not in the millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions, I'm not doing business with them. Forget that,
Right.
right? Because how could they possibly know more than me? If
Right.
at that rate, I don't want to just hire someone that I have to better than me, right? So, and
Right.
again, that's how aggressive your Facebook and your lead acquisition has to be, right?
So we have some, I mean, if if someone wants to learn about this, we certainly have some, we can point them in the right direction and we can give some guidance, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so, kind of final thoughts here. So a couple of things. One, if you've caught some of this conversation or you're listening now and you want some help and you don't want to, you want to dip your toe in the water. You don't want to, you're not ready to, allocate, $2,000 a month to Facebook ads. Then every Thursday at 3 o'clock, Jay is doing um, basically doing free training. And so comment or send us a DM and we'll get you access to that. Um, and can kind of just kind of educate you on, help you on understanding what, like how to translate this into like an actionable plan and then ultimately into sales. So, because I mean, I was experiencing what you were just talking about. Like last year, I was calling everyone that I knew, all of my contacts, all my business, all my relationships, and
Hmm.
everybody, it was all crickets. No one had any work. It
Right.
was anyway. So, this is a way to, have like another, have another thing going, when some of those traditional ways of getting business aren't working. So Jay's every Thursday at 3 o'clock, he's doing
Yep.
free training, right? And so if this is something you want to talk about more, I mean, even if the training, and I'm going to say this, Jay, and correct me if I'm wrong, even if the training isn't about Facebook ads, just come to
Hmm.
the training, ask the question, right?
Yeah.
Because we want to help. So if the training is about, I don't know, if the training's about marketing, some other marketing thing or hiring, just come to the damn training
Yeah.
and
I mean,
ask the
again, you're gonna
question.
get.
Even if you stay for 15 minutes,
Yep.
great, you got some help, and we're here because we're here to help. So,
Yep.
if you have questions, whether it's related to what, Jay is specifically getting into that day, come to the training and ask the questions. Um, so we are here. We're going to wrap it up because we've gone a little bit longer than we
Did we
wanted
not say
to.
we're trying to shoot it short? Right? We
We
did.
did, we did. We started a little late, so it's
Yeah.
really right around an hour. So, but for everyone that's hung out with us, thank you. Jay and I are here every Friday, 3 o'clock Eastern. Jay does free training every Thursday at 3 o'clock. I go live every Monday at noon, and I'm talking about similar things, but I'm sharing some of my experiences of turning around a mason restoration business and some of the things that Jay and I talk about here. I share how I practically applied those things. That's also, by the way, where Jay and I met. I met him 3 years ago as the CEO of this construction business. So come, check me out on Mondays at noon. If you want training, Jay does free training every Thursday at 3 o'clock. And then again, we're here every Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern time, bringing the best stuff we've got to help you, grow, turn around, expand, scale, do the things that you want to do in your business. So thanks everybody for being with us, and we'll see you again next week.